You know, Ed, there's been more and more talk in my classes about call center sales. Can you talk about, call center sales? Let us know what's going on.
I would love to.
Okay.
And I think it's pretty appropriate that we're talking about it. And I understand that you're getting some, you're getting some conversation about it as you get your BMTs coming through the class, the leadership
Yes.
stuff that you guys are providing for them down here. So the first thing I want everybody to try to understand is that the call center sales have exploded, right? The demand over the past 20, 25 months, really, well, I guess 20 months, I guess, now that we're sitting here, since March of a year ago, March of 2020, when the COVID thing really happened, we sent everybody home at the call center, never to return. They're all working remote, they're all working from home. But what happened at the same time is that as we sent everybody home, our customers and our potential customers were all sitting at home seeing more bugs. So the phones have exploded. We've sold more residential business than I ever thought even humanly possible. In the year 2020, we ran a 25% increase over the best year we ever had, and we're outpacing that so far in 2021 as we wind this down. But yeah, so there's a bunch more of them. So that's the first thing that's creating a little bit of pressure out there in the field. But the other thing that I really want to try to convey to everybody is the fact of, I guess, how fragile they are, right? So, when people think a call center sale, they think that it's all buttoned up tight and it's sweet and it's done and it's locked and loaded. But when you break it down, you think about the whole aspect of what is a call center sale. It's typically a customer calling with a problem, right? So they're kind of freaked out, whatever level of freaked out they are, whatever level of excitement they are, they've got a problem in their house that they're not happy with. And they finally decided to pick up the phone and call the Orkin man or the Orkin gal, and they're explaining their problem to us. So the first thing is, the customers are calling with the problem, so they're anticipating that we're going to provide a solution. And the second thing is that they kind of want something done right away. And the other thing is they're going to try to explain this problem over the phone. So they explain the problem over the phone. The agent takes the call in, and they deal with a little empathy. I get it, Miss Sonia. We've had the same problem at my house. Dealing with those kind of the emotions, trying to settle the customer down, and at the same time, then they have to provide a solution. They have to identify what the pest problem is, provide a solution, and then get the money and get the charge on the credit card, right? So what surprises most folks when they get a chance to spend any time with our call center agents is how short a window of time that is. The ideal call for one of Tim Tarantello's sales agents, in the call center that aren't in the call center, they're out in the world working from home, is about 6 to 8 minutes.
That's right.
I mean, that's like perfection. If they can take that customer, identify the problem, offer the solution, close the deal, and get the money and get the payment and get it scheduled. That all happens within 6 to 8 minutes with typically an emotional customer that's not happy about what's going on in their house. So we take that 6 to 8 minutes and we throw it across the line, and we tell the branches or the technicians to be there either that afternoon or scheduled for tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. So that's all that happens. So I think oftentimes we lose sight at the branch level and at the field level of just how fragile that sale is. 6 to 8 minutes to get them to commit to $600, $700, $1,000 if they're buying the mosquito bundle. You're going to agree to that in 6 to 8 minutes. Again, ideal call. So we flip it across the line, and we expect it all to be perfect when we show up to do the start. And I think that's where it kind of falls off the tracks a little bit because something was misinterpreted. Oftentimes we find out that customers hear what they want to hear in 6 to 8 minutes. So there's a bunch of disconcerting items that happen when you spend that little bit of time locking down an $800 to $1,000 sale. So it goes out to the field, the technician goes out there. Really, that technician, if you think about it, that's going to do that first service is the first real person at Orkin they've really spent any time with. So they have to understand what's going on. So we get lots of discrepancies in what was said and what was promised and what wasn't promised. So we've got to be really cognizant of that we got to balance that. But I feel in my mind, even though we call it a sale, when it leaves the call center, it's not a sale yet. I think the point of sale, the first real emotional point of impact in sale, happens at the door with that customer, and being open to saying, well, yeah, that's not what they told me, that's not what's on my paper, and trying to just listen to that customer again, go through those same emotions that now they're committed, the Orkin guy or the Orkin gal is in front of them. I think it's some of the talk and some of the understanding that we lack, I think, sometimes with the technicians that show up, that I don't think oftentimes that they realize that customer's only been talked to for 6 or 8 minutes, and they think that everything should be locked down solid, and I think what we've got to do is we've got to have some flexibility when we hit that door to be able to react and adjust and to walk that customer through that sale, because quite frankly, that's when the sale's made, is when that technician gets that customer to say, go ahead and do the service, and you know, runs the credit card through at that point in time. So I think the misnomer of call center sales is, yeah, there's been a whole bunch more. We've got a whole bunch of newer folks in there, so there's going to be some screw ups. I'd be the first guy to throw my hand up and say that. Customers are going to misinterpret what we say. They're in a highly emotional state when they call us, and then we're going to screw it up at the door too. So, for the most part, you know, 80 to 85% of what we sell ends up starting. You know, we get folks that have, you know, buyer's remorse and they cancel. Sometimes they don't call us and tell us they want to cancel until the poor technician gets to the door. You know, so that's not really the call center's fault, but we tend to kind of get into this blame game. Well, the call center did this or the field did that. It kind of goes back and forth, but I think it just takes a level head of just understanding that it's really fragile until it gets locked down by the technician when he or she is out there. I don't know if that helps kind of explain that, but again, if I keep saying the word fragile, it's fragile. When we launch that thing from the call center over and out to the field to go do the start, it's wobbly. It's an infant, you know, just being born trying to figure out how to walk.
Yeah.
And it needs some help, and it really needs some reinforcement. And like I believe that this real sale is made when the technician shows up at the door and looks like the Orkin guy or the Orkin gal that we promise him in the commercials, and delivers on that service. So hopefully that helps a little bit. There's always going to be discrepancies and always going to be problems when you have a 6 to 8 minute conversation. People, I promise you, people have heard what they wanted to hear, and you know, I've listened to enough of the calls coming back and being recorded back that, you know, every call is recorded down there, and we can listen to them, you know, as long as there wasn't a credit card taken or processed. But as we listen to those calls, you know, well, the customer at the door says that you said this, and some of that stuff never happens. So it becomes kind of that struggle. So understand that it's a community sale,
right.
and it's got to be teed up by the marketing team to get them to call. Then the call center agent has to sell that business, and then that technician has to start it, and then obviously the regular route technician has to keep that person on the books for at least a year, and hopefully forever. So,
Well, I think it's a great reminder for the management team how to coach their people.
Yeah.
So that's a great tip.
Amen. And you'll get wrong addresses. I mean, crazy stuff, right? They'll put the wrong address down, and you know, they'll repeat it. Heck, the customers will give us the wrong address sometimes.
6 to 8 minutes. You got to think about that.
6 to 8 minutes. If I can hammer that home, I think that would be it. 6 to 8 minutes, and fragile like eggs. You know, you don't put the eggs in, and you don't put the sugar on top of the eggs when you leave the grocery store. You carry them a little different. Carry that sale through the same way you'd carry a carton of eggs home from the grocery store. Great stupid analogy, but maybe it works.
Well said, though.
Okay, that's enough on that.
Okay, great job, Ed.
Good deal.